Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your patience. On behalf of the Embassy of India, I welcome you all to the third edition of India Japan Emerging Tech Hybrid Seminar. The last two editions were very well received by the participants and they turned out to be a huge success. Both India and Japan have advanced civilian space programs. India's ISRO and Japan's JAXA are working together towards a joint moon mission. However, today's edition of the seminar would concentrate on military and security application of the outer space, especially by private companies. We would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished guests for gracing us with their presence today. Now, I'd like to invite His Excellency Sri C.B. George, the Ambassador of India to Japan, to please deliver his keynote address.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dear Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends who have joined us physically here in the auditorium and also online. I'm very happy to be part of the third edition of series of webinars that we organize on India-Japan emerging tech on a very important sector today, that is space. In the last few decades, we have seen how our relationship between India and Japan has evolved. A relationship which 20 years back was more a G2G government to government relationship has transformed into a business to business relationship, a people to people connect relationship, and today what we have is a special strategic and global partnership. Why is it special? First and foremost, it is special because we have no history of conflicts. We have only history of friendship. That makes it India-Japan relationship special. From that starting point, we have seen how we have worked together to build a partnership which believes and strives for a free and open Indo-Pacific. The words of former Prime Minister, His Excellency, late Mr. Abe, the confluence of the two seas, continue to resonate in everything that we do with Japan today on Indo-Pacific. We have what the Indian Prime Minister has launched, IPOI, Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, which is a very important platform for further expanding our engagement with Japan. And Japan is the co-chair of one of the important pillars of that initiative, that is connectivity. India and Japan is working together. So our relationship has transformed. Today we have regular engagement, and when I am speaking to you today, we have the Dharma Guardian exercise happening in India. That is 40 Japanese defense personnel are in India training as part of the Dharma Guardian exercise. I remember last year I had the opportunity to attend the Dharma Guardian exercise in Japan. I also attended the Veer Guardian exercise where His Excellency was kind enough to receive me. So I'm very happy to see the momentum in our relationship. So sometimes we say that sky is the limit. But today I can tell you sky is not the limit because we are talking about space. And our relationship is beyond the skies. And what do we do here? Global commons has traditionally been defined as those parts of the planet that fall outside national jurisdiction and to which all nations have access. And international law defines four global commons: the high seas, the atmosphere, the Antarctica, and the outer space. And to my mind, cyberspace may be, and it's also an important, great global common. I'm very happy that we were able to put together this seminar today when we focus on space. As you have seen how India launched the Chandrayaan 3 last year, and I remember there was a huge presence in this auditorium when everybody cheered the successful landing of India's moon mission in the southern pole of the moon, first time. The most interesting part is that it was indigenous technology. Every material that was used was Indian indigenous product. That makes us proud. We have similar enthusiasm when Japan had its moon mission landed successfully earlier this year. I remember my Prime Minister congratulating Prime Minister Mr. Kishida in that successful moment. So we continue to work together. Both JAXA and DISTRO continue to work together for the common good. So in this seminar, we plan to bring together stakeholders in the space. So we will have seminars of this kind where uh, stakeholders come together, engage each other, and take our relationship forward. I once again congratulate the team for putting together this seminar. I once again welcome our distinguished guests who have joined us here today. And thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, His Excellency, for your kind words. Without further ado, I would like to invite Captain Matthew Majish, the Defense Attaché of India to Japan, to kindly give his introductory remarks.
Good afternoon, sirs, and a very good morning to all my friends logged in from India. I'm delighted to be in the August gathering to introduce the topic for today's webinar and the pitching event. Before I do that, let me thank His Excellency Shri Shivi George, the Ambassador of India, the officials from ATLA, Invest India, ISIC, Japan, and all participating companies for joining us today here. As we start today's proceedings, I would like to draw your attention to one important news coming out of India. The Government of India on 22nd February has passed a legislation permitting 100% foreign direct investment in the space segment. This is exactly what we aim to do here today. That is collaborate in space sector, especially between India and Japan. The application of space itself is vast, be it agriculture, climate, hydrography, military, etc., etc. The possibilities are immense. However, today we intend to concentrate on the security and military application of space. The military application of space began in the 1960s with USA using the space-based assets to gather intelligence on the then secretive USSR military assets. And make no mistakes, this was soon reciprocated by the USSR in kind. However, during the Cold War, the space race had gone so ahead that the concept of Star Wars was generated. The concept, in a nutshell, meant mutually assured destruction. And hence, the first space treaty came into being, which was the Outer Space Treaty signed in 1967 between USA, USSR, and the UK. Eventually, many others, including India, Japan, China, etc., joined the treaty. The provisions of the Outer Space Treaty prohibited nuclear weapons in space, limiting the use of moon and all other celestial bodies for peaceful purposes. Also, the treaty gives equal rights to all nations for peaceful exploration of space, as mentioned by His Excellency, making it a great common. This is this very treaty paved a way for, if I may say, democratization of space as we see it today. Democratization not just uh, for nation states, but also for public and private players alike to harness its numerous potentials. However, from a military perspective, interestingly, this treaty only banned nuclear weapons and did not restrict intelligence gathering and conventional weapons. These are the very areas which are being taken advantage of by many nations today. We saw the important role played by private constellation of cheaper satellites from SpaceX and Starlinks in the outcomes of operations in Russia-Ukraine conflict. Simply put, the private players did offset advantages the Russians had over Ukrainians in terms of conventional space technologies. Further, the number of low cost imaging and intelligence payloads that private companies can put in orbit becomes a guarantee against the anti satellite capabilities that many countries have developed. Like India, Japan too has an ambitious space program. Japan plans to launch over 100 satellites for reconnaissance and to detect missile launches. The constellation is aimed to be in position by 2027, a very ambitious project indeed, but doable only due to the private industry participation. To sum up the introduction, I personally see a merit in countries like India and Japan investing in large number of low to medium budget satellite constellations launched by private players, along with few high budget, high tech satellite launched by government agencies. This would be the only way to future proof the use of space for furthering one's national goals. It is in this context that this webinar and pitching event would progress here today. I would once again like to thank you all for making time from your busy schedules to be with us for this event today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your remarks. Now, I would like to hand over to Mr. Anag of Invest India, who will be participating virtually to introduce the lineup of companies that aim to deepen our knowledge of space technology. Please have a look at the screen.
And would also like to explore the Japanese ecosystem in terms of collaboration, cooperation, and also co-production and co-design down the road. We have with us, by and large, 5 startups representing various verticals of the space situational domain. And given the change in as far as the evolution of technology is concerned, they capture various facets of it, which include boosters, which include artificial intelligence for mapping out the data and the analytics behind it. We have with us the domain as far as creating new launch vehicles are concerned at a fraction of a cost, so on and so forth. So by and large, the 5 startups that we have today, one is Arid AI, the second is Oxen Sense Lab. We have Bellatrix with us. We have Digantra with us. And so this is by and large the lineup. And I would request the honorable moderator from the Embassy of India, Tokyo, to now start calling them out one by one and then taking the presentation forward and accordingly take its due course of time. I would also like to reiterate the fact that deep tech primarily and especially space is a very focused sector of the government of India at this point of time. In terms of enabling, we started the privatization, and right recently the government of India launched the FDI policy in space. There's a huge market that is on the upswing in India, and we look forward to enabling this cooperation and co-production and transfer of technology, possibly both ways with Japan. And Invest India is willing to go the mile and go the distance in enabling the same. Thank you so much.
To start the pitching event, I would request Oxens Labs, whose representatives are here with us today, to start the event.
Can I have the slides on? Yes, thank you. Thank you for the slide. So Anag, I can say from here, tell you to change this, change to the next slide, correct? Okay. Okay. So, yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and good morning in India. Uh, so, I'm from Oxens Lab. We're building a very powerful sensor. So, can I have the next slide, please? Okay. Okay, so we are building a powerful RF sensor for ground penetrating radars and radars in general because it has got wide application. But we have focused on GPR and few other modalities to start with. So what it achieves is the conventional radars, they have 3 meters to 30 meters depth and with a very low resolution. We are achieving a 5x deeper than conventional GPRs, 15 to 150 meters, and also resolution up to less than 1 centimeter. That is because we have a bandwidth 100 megahertz to 10 gigahertz. In one go, we are able to acquire the data. So that is another part of it. And so improved resolution because of the enhanced sensitivity, we can also. Hello. Okay. Okay. Uh, so were you able to hear me before? Okay. So we have improved resolution up to 1 centimeter, which is very difficult to achieve in conventional radars, mostly because the bandwidth that you acquire is very small. And the high speed electronics that is required is also very challenging. So that is why the improved resolution that we're talking about. The other thing that we achieve is we can also make use of the same sensor to scan on the terahertz region and detect chemical signatures. Uh, so that is another additional bonus we have. And it is faster, compact, and supports drone. So what I mean by this one is the swap, the size, weight, and power requirement is reduced drastically because it makes use of a different physics for the sensing part. So the RF sensor is based on something called quantum enhanced sensing. And so the size of the sensor reduces. You don't need the conventional antennas, especially in the low frequency, which goes up to very bulky sizes. We don't require those. We have a 5 centimeter vapor cell uh, consisting of rubidium atoms that is going to sense both wide range as well as high sensitivity. High sensitivity up to nanovolts per meter. That is the strength that we can detect in the order of nanovolts per. Can I have the next slide, please? So what's I'm getting an hello. So what it brings in as an application is not just GPR. This can be used for multiple purposes. The next slide, please. Okay, so it will be able to detect very subtle atmospheric refractivity changes, which would mean that you can detect clear air turbulence using using the sensor, and this can be used for clear air turbulence is a need for the airline industry, and especially because of climate change, this is going to be of high need. The other one is we can, so despite attenuation by atmosphere, material, or reflections, say for example, signals like GPS signals that reflect on the Earth can be detected uh, using this high sensitivity sensor, even at LEO, that is low Earth orbit, which is not possible using conventional radars, which enables passive SAR, passive synthetic aperture radar, uh, as a possibility. That becomes feasible because of this sensor. Uh, and despite attenuation by atmosphere, material, or reflections, so I talked about passive SAR and also um, GPR. GPR becomes all the more feasible in terms of depth and resolution. I covered the molecular signatures from a safe distance. So the usual terahertz sensor, the conventional terahertz sensor, the imaging is done at the proximity level. The chemical substance near to the sensor. But now this can be removed very much from the chemical substance, and which would mean that even from a drone at a distance of 2 meters to 10 meters, we can detect chemicals. So it has got applications in CBRN. Next slide, please. So what can we do? We can increase the efficiency and safety of mining operations because most of the time the tunnels that you construct for mining and for tunnel construction, the efficiency can be increased because most of the time you can sense and make a decision on the go. And also after extraction, chemical substances uh, can be verified. Chemical IDs can be taken out from the sensor. Next slide, please. So we can tell the construction engineer where not to dig. So if this can be used, the GPR can be used to map at a very high pace. That is, it can be carried on a drone because the swap is very less. The size is very less, and so you can. This enables a very fast subsurface utility mapping from a drone. Places where you cannot easily access, this can be done using the sensor. The usual GPRs, you cannot, these are very bulky because of the antennas they use, and it has to be dragged along on a trolley. The drone-based GPRs are not very effective because they go up on the frequency side. So if you're considering a lower frequency, that gets enabled using this. Next slide, please. So we're also trying to use the GPR plus terahertz modality that we're speaking about in asteroid mining because it is very useful in mining, both in terms of depth, resolution, and also a flyby into an asteroid can be used to classify even before extraction. So that is another. Next slide, please. And we can alert the border patrol for an underground tunnel. That is it, especially because we are achieving up to 150 meters of depth. So this can be very useful for the defense. Next slide, please. I covered before the passive SAR case, which is especially useful in the mapping of marine vessels, because marine vessels will give you a very high contrast with respect to the ocean, and because of the very weak backscatter that you can receive even in low Earth orbit, we'll be able to map the marine vessels at very high resolution. So it is almost similar to optical, but not making use of optical frequencies. So it can be done at day, all day imaging can be done. So that is one utility of our sensor. Next slide, please. And as I said, the swap is very much reduced. This enables missions, GeoINT, RFINT missions, which can go as a satellite payload even in a 27U satellite. That is the size of the payload that we can achieve. That is the estimate now. Next slide, please. And yes, next slide. So, our sensor is a horizontal sensor, horizontal technology, and it enables multiple modalities. We are working on some of them. We have achieved POCs on some of them, and we have not yet started some of them. So, just to give you. Next slide, please. So on the GPR tomography, we have achieved TRL6, but that is without the QESDR, but the design incorporates a future aspect of the high sensitivity sensor that will be integrated in TRL8 in 2026. But in between, we are also planning passive SAR because that brings in the technology required for that is easier to achieve. So we'll be bringing in passive SAR at a much early stage because it's a very short bandwidth. Have I come to an end of? Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah. So that the founders and the team. Next slide. The team. We are also associated with NICER Bhubaneswar. We are making use of the quantum optics lab over there. For the out of the lab prototype, we're still raising funds. We haven't got a fund yet. So that is where we need to discuss further. Next slide, please. These are some of the initial grants we have and collaboration we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Naveen. We'll take, if there are any questions for Mr. Naveen, the floor is open for next 1 minute. Mr. James.
Thank you. Very excellent presentation. We are interested in the ownership of the company, the founding of the company, and tell us a little bit about the structure, ownership structure.
So Oxens Labs is 100% owned by Indian, and we are planning to have a joint venture in Japan, especially with location in mind. That is under discussion. That can be, and we also plan to have a Japanese entity here, Oxens Lab. And because I'm already working with Atla through location one, and I have an undertaking with Atla that I'll be a part-time CTO of location Oxens Lab. So that makes it easier, I believe. Thank you.
Beautiful model.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question, sir, and thank you so much for your answer. Now I would like to move on to our next presenter. The name of the presenter is Digantara. Please forgive me if I mispronounce the name, sir. So that's the company's name called Digantara. And they will go forward with their presentation.
Hello, can you hear me? Wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, thank you so much, His Excellency Ambassador George and Invest India for organizing this event. Really appreciate this effort and bridging the gap between India and Japan. First and foremost, my name is Shreyas Mirji. I'm the Vice President for Business and Strategy at Digantara. We are a space situational awareness company that is building end-to-end infrastructure for using space operations and space traffic management. On the defense side, we are working towards building comprehensive ISR capabilities for protecting space and ground-based assets from space-based threats. Unfortunately, I cannot see the presentation right now. Is that being played? Hello.
I think none of us can see the presentation.
Sorry, sir, we are having a technical glitch. Please bear with us.
Can we go to the third or the fourth slide, please? Thank you. So we started out the company in 2021, and since then we have launched 2 assets to space. Our whole focus has been to demonstrate the infrastructure that we would need to build for using space operations and traffic management. We were one of the first companies in India to have the authorization to launch a space asset post privatization, and we had the chance to meet the Prime Minister of India as well. Next slide, please. So furthermore, we sort of launched our second mission, which was through the polar orbit in January 2023. Moving forward, next slide, please. You can skip a couple of slides. Thank you. So the problem we are solving right now is that the space is becoming increasingly congested, contested, and competitive. We are expecting about 70,000 satellites to be off the orbit by 2030, and we believe that we do not have the necessary infrastructure to support the space operation, considered as similar as an air traffic management system, right? So we do not have that supporting the space industry right now, and we want to bring those capabilities in-house. Furthermore, we also have seen that the space has become the fourth operational domain right now. There is an inherent need for us to protect and defend from space-based threat, both terrestrially and as well as from space, as far as space affects itself. Along those lines, we have built an end-to-end ecosystem. Next slide, please. Which can be broadly classified into 3 buckets. One is on the sensor system, where we are developing our own in-house sensors, with which we are able to track objects up to 1 centimeter in size. That means that we bring 20 times higher observational capability and 10x higher precision in terms of data tracking. So we solve for 2 problems here. One is solving for data quantity as well as the quality of the data sets. Having said that, we not only take data from our own sensors, but also pull in data from multiple sources as well. That if you have a data source that you're willing to provide us, we'd be happy to take in those data sets and build that data pool that will help us make better data, build a better data set as well as give better analytics. On the midstream, we have built a data agnostic processing engine. Basically, it has the ability to process any data sets that you are able to feed it from a SDA perspective. And we have benchmarked this data engine to the industry best, and we have seen it operate at 10x better than whatever is good in the industry right now. At this point in time, our whole efforts have gone to build towards the first and the second vertical, where we are focused on building the better data sets that we would need, as well as how do we process the data sets and give better analytics to the end customer. When it comes to the end product, the analytics and intelligence, we are primarily looking at both commercial as well as defense side. The commercial side is currently maturing, and we are working with multiple customers in India, Europe, and US, and building that commercial SSA requirements. If you go to the next slide, you can see that we support people across the value chain, right from designing the mission to operating. We support launch companies, human spaceflight missions, satellite operators, OTBs. So the whole goal for us was to see how can we use SSA data and use it to enable the whole ecosystem. So what we have done is we have 50 plus products in the pipeline for us, with which we are able to enable the ecosystem for safer space operation. Our whole focus right now is supporting mission operations, propulsion companies, and launch companies on the commercial side of things. But as we go to the defense side, if you can go to the next slide, please. We are currently working with about 4 agencies globally, where we are supporting them actively on SSA analytics that they can use to protect and defend their space-based assets. We have seen time and time after that we can use SSA data sets to take better informed decisions on what is happening in space and what can have adversarial impact here on Earth. So we have seen a growing need in such services that are required. We have built a state-of-the-art facility here in Bangalore, India, where we are able to carry out simulation exercises and wargaming here in Bangalore. and we are able to provide a basic understanding about the services we provide here. So having said that, we are now scaling towards providing these services globally. I would be happy to talk to you more about what we provide and demonstrate our capabilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your presentation, sir. Our next presenter
If
is
you have any
Gallic.
questions for me, I would be happy to answer them for you. If not, I'm leaving my email address in the chat. I would be happy to speak to you in detail about what we are building here at Diganta. Thank you.
Does anyone have any question to the presenter? We would like to take few questions if there are any. There are no questions, sir. Thank you so much for your presentation, and we would like to communicate your email address if required for any further inquiries. So our next presenter is Galaxy I. Over to you, sir. Galaxy I.
Hi, hi everybody. Good afternoon to everyone present there, and morning to all of our friends from India. First of all, thanks to both parties to have organized such a focused conference and the opportunity to be presenting the technologies that we are building. So I am Pranit, one of the co-founders of Galaxy, heading business development and sales here, and delighted to be presenting on what we are building. So, to give you a very brief one liner, we are building the world's first multi sensor imaging satellite where we aim to provide all time, all weather imagery intelligence. Today, when we look at imaging satellites in space, we see there's a lot of data that's coming through from satellites. Right? But how far is that usable? How far is that helping us make the decisions that we want to be making? One of the biggest problems there is clouds, literally clouds, right? So for instance, countries like India, Japan face cloud cover at least like 150 160 days a year. That's about 50%. And the oceans, which is a very broad area of significance for us, becomes much harder to monitor considering 70 80% of the time. And that's precisely the kind of challenges that we want to serve, right? So I'll take you through a very brief presentation and happy to take in questions at the end. Next slide, please. Slide number 2. Yeah. So our team, so we are a team spun out of IIT Madras, one of the best educational institutions of the country, having previously built Asia's first and only functional Hyperloop pod. So that was in conjunction with a competition organized by Elon Musk, so the SpaceX Hyperloop competition, and that's where our pedigree comes in from having built vacuum technologies like Hyperloop to now building advanced imaging satellites. Next slide, please. So, getting to the problem that we are trying to cater to today, right? Today, broadly, when we think of satellite imagery, any form of imagery intelligence for that matter, we see two kind of options in front of us. One is the multispectral, second is the synthetic aperture radar. If you zoom into this, next slide, please. Multispectral as a sensor gives us images that are super intuitive because that's how human eyes perceive objects in reality, very sparsely available. Like you can see this case where you have two vessels just aligned next to each other, covered with clouds. So that gives us partial intelligence about, okay, these might be two vessels, but what's actually happening? What category? What's the identification type, right? That's the challenge with multispectral. On the other hand, if you go next to the next slide, which is synthetic aperture radar, you end up seeing that these are more like X-rays. Next slide, please. So SAR, which is synthetic aperture radar, gives you an image that requires specialists to analyze the data. Right? It's not intuitive to human eyes and more so grayscale images. So we've had people even look at these images and say that these look to me like a pair of shoes. Right? That's precisely the gap in where we end up losing intuitiveness on the lookout for availability. So SAR as a sensor, as we all know, can penetrate through clouds, can penetrate through fog, smoke, and whatnot, thus ensuring 100% availability. But running behind that, we lose the intuition and therefore require a very targeted small group of people who can actually analyze SAR data and give us the kind of insights that we want. So as very evident, these are two sensors that are currently present and more so complementary with each other. Next slide, please. So the way that the industry is currently solving this problem today is data fusion, where we merge multispectral and SAR, therefore get the intuitiveness and availability. Although, next slide, please. The way that we as an industry, as space tech group, look at satellite imagery data fusion today is taking data from two different satellites. What that leads to is number one, temporal mismatch. Since these data sets come from two different satellites, one identifies a ship that's present while the other doesn't, and therefore your data fusion is of course inaccurate. Second, perspective mismatch. So optical satellites, multispectral today at large, take images at nadir, which is right top down. On the other hand, sensors like SAR always take images at an angle, which is off nadir. Therefore, using two different data sets coming from different satellites also does not have the same perspective of capture. And hence, what usually ends up happening is people still take optical data, SAR data, and always require that human intervention in coming and saying that, okay, let me wait for 2 or 3 more satellite images before I make a decision. Right? And that ends up becoming operationally expensive as well. Next slide, please. The way we are solving this problem is merging multispectral and SAR at the core. So we perform data fusion at the core, where we are putting up our own imaging satellites that have a multispectral and a SAR sensor on the same platform. Therefore, we capture images of an area of interest at the same time from the same perspective. That allows us to provide most accurate data fusion possible, and hence all-time, all-weather imaging, like we saw in the earlier slides. Next slide, please. So look, given the kind of complex nature that this problem has, considering that this is the world's first such mission, we have taken our own steps to de-risk technologies, wherein we have launched this sensor technology for drone platforms. When it's currently in operation, we've miniaturized this whole FISH-T sensor, which is a multispectral plus SAR fused for drones. We've proven it on aircrafts and currently in process of building the satellites and eventually the constellation as well. Across these altitudes, what remains consistent is the optical and SAR data set co-registered to each other. Next slide, please. So, taking you through a brief time journey as to how we are marching to orbit. First step, we proved data fusion as a software, where we showed how existing satellite data as optical and SAR could be fused and the challenges that come through. So data sourced from existing satellites. Next slide, please. And thereon, build our own hardware capabilities, where we prove data fusion as a hardware on drones and aircrafts. So that's a sensor payload, which allows us capabilities to penetrate through fog, provide temporally and perspective matched electro-optical and SAR datasets, and sub-meter accurate. So you can also detect a lot of precise assets that you want to be monitoring on ground. Next slide, please. And combining these together, we've also spun out, as a dual use company, we've also spun out a lot of commercial applications. One of those being Galaxy Blue, where we target the aquaculture market. Again, Southeast Asia is a very large hub for aquaculture at large, where we use data fusion, satellite imagery of multispectral SR, and provide insights on things like culture status, supply forecasting, water quality monitoring, and so on, which is currently operational across geographies globally. Next slide. And given all of this, right now our focus is on building the satellite itself, currently undergoing assembly, integration, and testing, and ready to be launched towards the end of the year. So that's our current timeline. Next slide. And I'd like to show a couple of case studies on why and how is this actually helpful, right? So one of the test cases that we have seen attracting a lot of attention is situations where, let's say we have 3 objects on ground. We have one empty tent. We have a tent with a metal box underneath. Could be an analogy to any metallic object present, even as simple as a weapon, a tank, or a simple storehouse, right? And third is an open car, which is a metal object again. Next slide, please. What today's images give us is, if you look at just multispectral, which is the leftmost image, all you will see is like how human eyes perceive it. We have 2 tents and a car. On the other hand, if you just got a SAR data, the first tent would not be visible since SAR penetrates through the tent material. So what you would see is the presence of 2 metallic objects, but that does not tell you anything about what kind of objects and what's actually happening out there. If these 2 were procured from the same platform at the same time, which our sensor did, give us intelligence that the first tent is a decoy, that there is nothing underneath it. The second tent, there is a camouflage, there is something that's hiding underneath. And third is, of course, an open car. This is the kind of intelligence that we want to be providing. Next slide, please. Similarly, another case study where we look at infrastructure, right, as to monitor any new developments happening along borders and so on. We see sensors like SAR that, although do not give us context, but give us very precise geometry information. So for instance, if you look at the above image, you see that there is some presence of lined objects vertically and horizontal lines, right? That coupled with optical data, you see that the vertical lines are actually solar panels. And therefore, with this, you can actually identify the number of panels present, what is the size, and things like that. With optical, you know that there's a transmission tower, but with SAR, you know that these are active transmission lines and not abandoned towers. That tells us a lot about what activities could be happening out there. And these transmission lines, just to put it out there, are less than 10 centimeters. So SAR as a sensor also picks up sub-pixel matters present there, and therefore gives us the intelligence that even an optical sensor cannot give. Next slide, please. To sum it all up, we are looking at offering a broader IMINT portfolio, where a vertically integrated solution where we provide indigenously developed EO plus R surveillance imaging across altitudes, all the way from UAV to MAIL to HAPS to satellite, coupled with an altitude agnostic data processor where you are able to do in-house mission planning and data processing as to how multiple altitudes could work together, where could we image when and how, and AI-powered analytics. So you're not just stuck with data, but actually have the right insights to act upon. So next slide. That brings me to the end of my presentation, providing all-time, all-weather imaging intelligence across altitudes. Thank you, and open to any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. May I have few questions for Galaxy if anyone has? So it seems there are no questions at the moment. Thank you so much once again. We would like to move on to our next presenter. The company's name is Tarded AI. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Can I share my screen, please? Yeah, just a minute. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Thank you. Thank you, the Indian Embassy in Japan, the Honorable Ambassador, sir, and the Defense Secretary for organizing this valuable platform. Good morning, India. Good afternoon, Japan. I'm Commander Yogendra Sharma. I'm heading the Defense SPAE at Target Technologies, and I'm a proud veteran of the Indian Navy. I feel honored to be part of this dignified forum and pleased to get an opportunity to present our capabilities here in front of the esteemed audience. Coming to the presentation, about Tarded, we are recognized as the top global innovator across the world, and we are covered extensively by reputed business magazines. Our company has also been recognized among the top technology innovator for the digital twins, and we have signed many MOUs and contracts uh, with the defense as well as the commercial. And we are also among very few companies who were chosen to represent India at the World Economic Forum conducted last month around 15 to 19 January. So about the team, we have become synonym of innovation in the industry. All credit goes to the formidable team of these few personnel. We are mix of senior scientists and subject matter experts, and including the veterans, and we have a young team of about 45 members, which includes 2 PhDs, 25 MTechs, and 14 PTech personnel who are working tirelessly every day and night to enable us to leaps and bounds. We as a company are committed to fostering innovation through cutting edge technology. Our robust and advanced technological solutions empower our customers to break new ground, push their boundaries, and drive unprecedented innovation in their respective fields. By seamlessly integrating our technology into their workflows, we enable them to navigate the ever evolving landscape of challenges with agility and creativity. Introducing the world's first physics driven digital twin with an integrated state engineer model, uh, the state engineer model, our groundbreaking technology actually redefines the realm of digital twins by incorporating sophisticated physics simulations and providing an unparalleled level of accuracy and realism. Our company pioneers in the integration of the AI into finite element modeling or aging infrastructures. And this innovative approach not only revolutionizes the predictive maintenance, but it also ensures a proactive understanding of the structural dynamics. Now, in a groundbreaking convergence of disciplines, our company also leads the charge by combining physics and hydrometeorology to propel autonomous maritime solutions. By integrating the intricacies of physics with advanced hydrometeorological insights, we are engineering autonomous maritime systems that navigate the seas with efficiency and adaptability. Regarding the maintenance strategies, our non-invasive technology stands out at the forefront of resolving critical challenges. By eliminating the need for intrusive procedures, we offer a breakthrough situation that ensures strategic maintenance without disrupting the operations. So with this technology, the asset which is being used, it can continue to be used, and still we will be able to carry out the assess the condition of the asset. And now, another innovation, our company merges inverted spatial and 3D machine vision technologies with holographic radial targeting. This groundbreaking fusion creates a paradigm shift in precision and depth perception, enhancing the capabilities of the systems. Embracing the power of integrated physics driven algorithms, our solutions unveil the hidden challenges, transforming complexity into opportunity. So, by synergizing the advanced algorithms with the fundamental physics, we'll navigate the uncharted territories to identify and address latent issues. Coming to the domain that we master, so these are the three domains that we particularly master in. The AI at sea literally gives wings to the ships, and the situational awareness that we are always looking forward to gives the wings the direction that we need. Not undermining the importance of the machinery, our AI-driven non-destructive evaluation plays crucial role in identifying and resolving the machinery issues without interfering in the operations. Our core offering is the BrainBox. It is an AI program, AI model which is developed by us, and it is whatever we are making today. Actually, the backbone is the BrainBox. So, as briefed earlier, this is a physics-driven model. It is the beauty of the system is that it is free of biases, and we have built products like all new electric outboard motor, which you can see on the left, and also the Equital A4, the alter ego to the captain of the ship, and we have also built an autonomous surveillance boat. We call it the Equital A5. Coming to the top of the town, we have developed NeuroEye, and it is an AI-powered tactical warfare management system. It is a game changer in how the battlefield is managed during the war and also during the peace. The increased battlefield transparency that the system provides is indeed a potent tool in the hands of a war commander. So, as it is not possible to cover all the details of all the products within the limited time, I will take you through a quick video of how the system functions. So this is the architecture of NeuroEye, wherein it is collecting and fusing the data from various sensors, including radars, EOIR, hyperspectral, and other sensors, and then giving a full picture to HMI to the end user. So this is a small video that we have made of our offering. So as you can see, there are various sensors which are connected to various ports, and then they are used based on their requirements. So this particular screen shows how the data is flowing from one place to the other and building a sophisticated network to generate the ultimate end output. Next is actually the radar fusion that we are working on. We have developed this wherein multiple radars, whether they are located on one platform or multiple platforms. The platforms can be shapes, they can be shore-based, or they can be satellite-based. We can fuse all the radars and bring them in a single screen, giving you the fused data. The blue screen that you see, which is zoomed in, actually shows the fused track. So this was the radar fusion part of the product. Now coming to the Mumbai harbor, you can see that there are some red and green dots. The green dots are AIS verified, the AIS input is coming, and the red dots are not. Now the blue circles that you see is actually the input from RF detector. So blue circles means this is a particular band. So the transmission is coming from this direction, and on top of it, the SAR image has been superimposed. So it gives you, in one picture, it gives you full, basically clarity as to what is happening on the ground. On the side pane, you can see the three images. One is the EOIR, the second is the hyperspectral image of the harbor, and the radar fusion. We can also, we have also fused the SAR image. So when you click on a contact, it shows the full data, the AIS data, as well as the SAR image of the contact. And by comparing the dates when you have taken these images, you can actually identify as to how much difference and where it has occurred. So from here, we will move to another port going north towards Gujarat, and we reach one of the most important ports there for India. So here again, the SAR image has been used on top of the EOIR image, and the hyperspectral image is available. All this data can be analyzed, and the red blinks that you see on the screen, they are actually showing what was the difference between the 1st Jan, 8th Jan, and 15th Jan. Going northeast into the dense forest, we reach correction. Sorry, we go to the Indo-China border, and here we see that this is a valley, and the changes that have taken place will be prominently visible by the image fusion. Now, the one more important thing is that we have the technology to convert the 2D images into 3D. So you can actually rotate and take a 3D view of the area to get a full complete picture. So the red circle shows some suspicious activity going on. Now the SAR image has been fused over it, and yet you can work on the 3D. Going to the northeast into the forest, we see that there is some suspicion there. We will just investigate, go inside. As you zoom in, you will find that through the polish detection and the SAR images coupled with the imaging of the temperatures, we see that there is some anomaly and some activity has happened there. The SAR image has been fused for that area on top of it for better appreciation. So this was regarding the product that we have developed. Now, we are not limited to only this. We are into variety of products, wherein the SPAE, one of our LPG cylinder inspection station. We also have the smart ship operations, basically the autonomous operation of the ships. We have autonomous port. We have developed the electric OBMs. We have a crawler which can go into the pipelines and the gun barrels and investigate the profile. And we have the inbox storm breaker, which is used for the surveillance and the building up the picture of a multi-sensor fusion area. So Tardinian Media recently we have been in news because of obviously our innovative approach to things, and we are well covered as we are committed to grow leaps and bounds. So thank you very much. That is all from our side. My details are flashed on the screen. Would there be any inquiry from people around? They can always get in touch with me on the numbers. Also, you can visit targettech.com and explore our products. I have finished and I'm open to questions, if any.
Thank you so much for your insightful presentation. Sir, we would like to take few questions if we have. It seems there are no questions at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now I would like to move on to our next presenter. It's Dhruv Space. Over to you, sir.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Keyur Gandhi from Dhruva Space. We are a full stack space engineering company based out of Hyderabad. Am I audible? We are a full stack space engineering company based out of Hyderabad. We provide an end-to-end solution for establishing space assets. Sorry, if we could move to the next slide, please. We provide services in the space launch and ground segment. In the space segment, we have our proprietary satellite platforms. On the launch side, we have deployers and we work with launch service providers in partnership. And on the ground segment, we either provide ground station as a service or we help commission ground stations at the client side. The idea of building this full stack capability in-house is to support cost-effective and quick turnaround time-based space missions. We are application agnostic, so we have built our technologies to be modular, so that we can support dynamic customer requirements and we can support a host of innovative payloads and applications which are coming out. Next slide, please. So to give a background of how do we provide this full stack solution, this is the entire solution is modeled on the premises that we need to ease access to space as we look at ever increasing number of applications which are coming. So we do that by helping not just undertake mission planning and constellation designing. We also help by assisting customers wherever needed to undertake any assembly and integration activities. We can either carry it out in-house, end-to-end, or we can work with customers at their sites for missions which require more customization or modularity. Uh, in terms of building the spacecrafts, we have our own structures. We have built certain subsystems on our own, and we have also partnered with enterprises globally to ensure that in case of diverse applications, we can provide necessary support and a good turnaround time for building the spacecraft itself. So when it comes to integrating the spacecraft, getting the testing done, we can do it in our facilities in Hyderabad. We also have a 280,000 square feet facility, which is enable this. One of the key subsystems I would like to mention separately here is space grade solar arrays. We have been building and delivering space grade solar arrays to commercial customers and to the government of India as of the last 2 years. Coming to the launch segment, we have built CubeSat deployers in-house, and we have partnered with certain enterprises to build ring-based deployers for small satellites. On the front of launch service licensing, of course, there is PSLV, the Reliable Launch Vehicle of India, which allows us to work very closely with ISRO in ensuring that we can avail the right and the most proximate launch opportunity for our customers. Coming to the front of operations, we currently have one antenna operating in the SNX band and another two antennas which are operating in VHF and UHF bands. This current infrastructure of the ground segment is built primarily for remote sensing satellites for telemetry and telecommanding purposes. This is built also taking into account that the launch of our first hosted payload mission is scheduled in June, where we'll be utilizing these ground stations for TT&C and payload data downlink activities. Coming to the service model of the ground station, we are also identifying the right locations where we can set up our own ground stations. We've already partnered with certain ground station networks, and we are also in the process of setting up a Ka-band data downlink station in the next few months. This is a quick overview of the satellite platforms that we currently have. The PDOT is a qualified satellite platform that was launched in November 2022. The P30 has been a derivative of P30 has been tested as of January 1st, and the same platform is being used in a hosted payload mission later in June this year. We've taken a technology transfer from the Indian Space Research Organization for a 100 kg class platform, which is the Indian Microsatellite Bus. We also have a derivative of the same, which is the PNU with modified specs to support requirements of larger platforms. With these platforms, the approach to building subsystems and to building the structures has been that whenever we look at hosting payloads or whenever we look at the payloads being integrated in the satellite, we can have maximum modularity. So with each of the platforms, we can offer a maximum turnaround time of less than 6 months. The smallest turnaround time is, of course, for the half-view satellite, where we are able to deliver 6 to 7 satellites in any given month. Next slide. This is an overview of the range of satellite deployers that we have in-house. The 1U, 3U, and 6U deployer have already been qualified, and in fact, the 1U deployer has been used in commercial missions. We are looking at strong traction and beginning to deliver orders on the larger deployers. Next slide. Coming up to Earth stations, this is an overview of the antennas that we have not just installed in our own ground stations, but also antennas that we are delivering in the course of delivering our full stack solutions to our customers. Currently, the largest dish which has been installed in proven is a 7.3 meter dish. Looking at the configuration of the entire ground station, we don't just deliver antennas, but we deliver the full solution. We also have a XY mount that is built in-house and servo control systems which are built in-house to ensure that we can give better effectiveness and gains at high inclination passes as well. And to combat the challenge of automating remote operations of the antennas, we've built automated solutions over the cloud where any given antenna placed at any site across the globe can simply be operated sitting on your laptop to meet your mission requirements. This is done primarily also to ensure that a customer can effectively utilize the ground station network by being able to book any satellite passes as quickly as needed, and also have a forecast easily available to see in what way could data downlink be planned, especially for missions where the amount of data to be downlinked is very high. Next slide, please. This is an overview of the same software that I was speaking about earlier. It is called the Integrated Space Operations and Command Suite. Here, it is not antenna and ground station operations is only one front which is enabled in this software. We also use this software and install it at customer sites to give an overview of everything, starting from the mission control to the payload data that comes in, to support any integration of SSA solutions, to look at also any sort of frequency overlaps which might happen in case clashing passes are downloaded in proximate frequency bands, and also to visualize payload data, which is primarily a customer driven model. The idea is to deliver the entire mission through a single software so that it can be operated not just by our customer but also by the end users of the data in an effective manner. And this enables seamless integration between the satellite operator, the customers, and the end users of the data. So by bringing everyone onto the same platform, we are truly trying to ease access to space-enabled applications. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot of one of our upcoming AIT facilities. Currently, we work out of a facility based in Hyderabad where we have our own clean room and electronics and mechanical lab, and we rely on a network of over 200 vendors. To consolidate our requirements for larger space missions and increased commercial demand, we are building a 280,000 square feet facility, of which one of the 30,000 square feet facility is earmarked for fabrication of solar arrays. We also have the suite of testing facilities which are needed, which will be coming up with a vibration bench, with a thermo vacuum chamber, with anechoic chambers, with facilities for characterizing the attitude determination and control system, RF characterization system, so on and so forth. We are anticipating for the first phase of the facility, which will have the setup which is shown in this slide, being operational in about 6 to 8 months from now. Next slide, please. To give a snapshot of how we've moved ahead, it is known to most that InSpace was inaugurated in June 2022. That is when formally private activities in the space sector began, and we were there on the first mission in the same month. And since then, we've been on 4 missions. We've shown 3 missions here. The 4th mission is something that recently concluded in January, and I'm happy to declare that it was successful. To give a snapshot, with the first mission, we only qualified a deployer. In the second mission, we used the same deployer and deployed two of our half-U satellites, which were shown to prove low bitrate communication, secure messaging over a private network, and other applications. In the third mission, we qualified our second set of deployers, which is a 3U and a 6U CubeSat deployer. And we also qualified DSOL, which is Dhruva Space Orbital Link. It is our SDR-based SNX band transceiver, which is being used on our future satellite platforms for telecommand and telemetry and payload data downlink purposes. In the fourth mission, which is not seen here, we've recently declared our fourth mission a success. In our fourth mission, we've tested a derivative of our 30 kg class satellite platform, where we tested the subsystems and the structure which was not qualified and which achieved qualification in this mission. Next slide, please. This is an overview of the current infrastructure. What you see in the two bottom right images is our SNX band antenna, which has already been installed and tested, and our a snapshot of our ground station and installed with the software that we operate. We currently have a class 10,000 clean room where our payloads, which have all gone to space since our first mission, have been integrated. For testing facilities and fabrication, we still currently rely on a vendor network which is placed locally within Hyderabad, which allows us to leverage their excess capacity for using in our space missions. The idea behind building this infrastructure is to ensure that anytime there is a customer who wants to launch a space mission, you don't have to solve the problems of infrastructure, reliable technology and platforms, and modularity all at the same time. By consolidating this infrastructure, qualifying our technology as fast as possible, and by consciously choosing on what are the areas in space technology where we need to undertake in-house development and where we need to partner, we are trying to build a solution in the end where anything that is needed to establish and operate a space asset can be done from within Dhruva Space. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot of our leadership team and our advisors. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, in delivering these solutions, we leverage not just technology that is built in-house, but we also leverage key partnerships as we build a vertically integrated supply chain to deliver these solutions. We have built partnerships internationally, not just to the end of building a resilient supply chain, but we also actively look at supporting initiatives on co-development of mission-critical subsystems and allied components. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot of our upcoming AIT facility, which is in Hyderabad, which I have covered in my earlier slides. Next slide, please. In terms of where we are headed with the previous missions and the upcoming infrastructure is we have around 20 PDOT satellites which are to be launched, which will focus primarily on communication applications with low bitrate connectivity. The P30 satellites, including hosted payload missions and customer missions, are slated to launch starting June until December of 2025 as per the orders that we're currently executing. We also have a 100 kg class platform driven mission consisting of various satellites, which is anticipated to be launched very soon. Thank you. I think that is about it. If in case of any questions, I'm happy to answer. I'll also leave my contact details in the chat box.
Thank you so much for your informative presentation, sir. We would like to open the floor for the questions. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. It seems there are no questions. We would like to move on to our next, in fact, last but not the least, our presenter for today is a company called Bellatrix. Over to you, sir.
And thanks for the opportunity for Invest India team and the embassies. So, Bellatrix is a in-space mobility company working on space technologies, advanced space technologies. So, what we do, so this is the journey of space industry, starting from inceptions of government organizations, which happened in 1960 until 2020, and then 2030, where privatization has happened and launch disruption has happened, and then now we are talking about the LEO market as well as in space economy. Bellatrix primarily takes a leading step in space economy, where we put out our products, which are primarily satellite propulsion, and the product that we also offer is satellite as a service. So what does satellite propulsion include is we have a number of products which will cover this, and then for me to even understand make you understand how does the propulsion work and then what are we currently doing, there is a small short clipping so that we can look into the firing that we have for green thruster. So this is the facility which is in Bangalore, and this is the green thruster which is being fired. And this product was currently space qualified in the January mission on POEM, and we are very happy to declare that this product is now available for commercial operations, and we are engaging with business and sales orders. So this is with respect to another thruster that we have been working. So, the propulsion product variants with respect to Bellatrix offerings are starting from nano thruster, which can actually have satellites which is less than 20 kgs, and then a satellite class which can handle up to 1000 kgs is our green monopropellant thruster. And then we go to the Hall effect thruster, and then Hall effect thruster is also a legacy product for us, where we have space qualified this product recently in Jan 2024 mission, and then also the microwave plasma thruster, which is a larger satellite scale thruster which can do interplanetary missions. So this is a complete offering with respect to the propulsion systems, and the product variants are also seen here while they have been realized. And we have one of the world's smallest nano thruster, which is less than a rupee coin. And Bellatrix also strongly believes in vertical integration of the products. So 85% of the products that are getting into each and every product are being indigenized. So we make our own valves, we make our own subsystems, we make our own tanks and other pipings and products that is required for our propulsion systems. And we are also the first company, one of the first companies to fly a expulsion 3D printed propulsion tank, which was flown in 2024 Jan mission, and that was successfully tested, and it has performed very well. right? And we are also manufacturing our own fast-acting solenoid valves, which can do the job. So we are also open to supply of sub-components or products that are associated for propulsion systems. So these are some of the clippings of our thrusters which is being fired in the ground, and these were tested recently again. So this is again a video for our Hall effect thruster which is being fired, and this is how the Hall effect thruster works. And this is our team working in for the realization of the product. So this is a vibration test that we do before we put the product in the orbit. So this is the thruster firing. So we are happy to declare the major milestones that has opened our global customer interest, which was our ARCA, which is HET, that is a Hall effect thruster, and Rudra, that is our green monopropellant thruster. Green monopropellant thruster, we have our own fuel, a monopropellant based green fuel, which was tested first time in space. I think we are the only company who have done this for now in India. And globally, we are the second or third company we have tested a green monopropellant based fuel in space. So we also offer a product which is called as satellite as service. So what we do for satellite of service is we provide a ride share for other payloads. So we host the payloads and then we take you to the orbit that is needed, drop you off in the orbit that is requested for, and then go ahead and then drop the other payloads. So this is like a taxi or a Uber pool to drop the payloads in the required orbits. And this is a very big market which can actually cover a total of 14 billion. And this is huge. And currently, the demand for cube satellites as well as demand for microsats have increased. And a manufacturer who wants to put his payloads, which is of nature CubeSat or microsats are much larger, need not have to sit and build the whole satellite or an engine or a platform to take the satellites up in the space. So they can use products like this and then try to reduce the amount of debris which are present in the space. And then we can also provide services like in-orbit servicing, cargo transports, building blocks for space infrastructure. Space infrastructure is one of the biggest markets that are coming. People are talking about building hotels in space, luxury uh, uh, spaces in space. And then we are also talking about life extension missions for satellites where we can do refueling and others. So it is actually a multi-use solution which can be catered in the current market, and the boom is up to another 10, 12 years. People are talking about this already, right? And this is about us. So we have Rohan, Ganapati, and Yashas who are our co-founders. And I'm Karthik, who is currently the Chief Product Officer and into executions as well. Some of our awards are also put up here. This is a unique infrastructure which is upcoming, which is our R&D facility very close to Bangalore Airport, which is called as High Tech Aerospace Park. And we will be setting up a facility in 5 acres of land and one of the biggest space propulsion laboratories and biggest integration laboratories, which is as good as NASA's Goddard Laboratory, right? And so the next milestone that we are looking in is Series B fundraise and also business opportunities to looking for our thrusters and subcomponents and subparts of sub thrusters. You can always reach out to us, Yashas Karanam or Karthik, and then I can also drop the points in the mailbox or in the message. And this is our team. I'm more than happy to have any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation, sir. Do we have any questions for the presenter? So thank you so much once again. There are no questions at the moment. Now I would like to invite Lieutenant General Retired A.K. Bhatt Director General at Indian Space Association, to please deliver his remarks.
Konnichiwa, Jai Hind. Honorable Ambassador of India in Japan and other honored members of the audience, I, as Director General of the Indian Space Association, thank the Embassy of India in Japan for organizing this seminar today. We in the Indian Space Association represent the entire private ecosystem in India, which consists of larger companies and many startups. As on today in India, we have a total of 200 startups in the space domain operating in various verticals, upstream and downstream. Some of our leading startups have already introduced themselves and spoken about what they have achieved. In India, the government of India in June 2020 decided to privatize space, to open space to the private sector. From then to till today, we have a new space policy which allows all our private players to do all activities in space, including asteroid mining. We have very recently got a new FDI policy which allows 100% to 49% FDI in India. And with all these regulatory regime being placed, our startups are all going ahead and making achievements. We've already had a pre-orbital launch. Space tested equipment has been done by many of our companies. Some of our startups have launched, other startups have also launched satellites, and we see a big ecosystem in downstream also growing in India. We look forward to some of the Japanese companies which are coming to interact with us on 4th of next month at Ahmedabad with InSpace, and many of our companies will be meeting you there. I would stop here and once again thank all of you, and we, all our companies here in India, would look forward to work with Japan, where JAXA and ISRO have been working for a large number of years. We want to extend this and let this bridge between space companies in India and Japan move forward. Jai Hind, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your remarks. Now, may I please request Mr. James Angeles, President of ISIC Japan, to kindly give his concluding remarks.
Well, I can only say that this is an extraordinary step in Japan-India space cooperation. This is something I think Captain Matthew and I talked about a long time ago. Did not realize that this momentum would come on so strong, and it looks like it's a huge future for everyone. I have to apologize that I've got to run to catch a taxi, but know that we are assembled here for a very, very good cause. So thank you for coming.
Remarks. Now, we would like to conclude the event. I'm sure everyone has gained something, and we all have takeaway from today's event. We have arranged a networking session with some refreshments just outside this auditorium. Thank you so much for your time and participation today. We look forward to having you again sometime soon. Thank you so much. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Thank you so much to all the Indian audiences, distinguished guests, participants, and all the companies' representatives. Thank you so much for your precious and knowledgeable presentation. Thank you so much for your time and support.